Okay, so it's right around 3:45 p.m. on Saturday, August 9th, 2025. Second video I've just had to make about this exact topic. I'm finally lying down on my bed to watch some YouTube videos and just dig into stuff that I really love to watch, basically. And one of those things is the story of Luke and Julie, a young looking, very young seeming British aristocracy couple in their early 50s. I think Julie is 53 and Luke is 51. They are the Earl and Earl S of an estate called Mapperton over in England. And I love their videos. I love Luke and Julie. I actually came across Julie initially when watching a Real Housewives of London series back in 2014. And strangely enough, even though I've only been to London twice and it was just for a few hours in the airport, I've never physically visited the British countryside or any part of England outside of the airport. I have been obsessed with all things British for years. It doesn't make any sense because my family is actually from France and Germany, and I've spent months and months and months and months and months and months of my life living in France, living in, France. We visited Germany a few times, and Switzerland and parts of the Pyrenees, so northern Spain, southern France, Geneva, Switzerland, Normandy, very specifically Normandy, and traveling all over France, really, and parts of Germany as well, the Main region in Germany, Frankfurt, etc. So my fascination with England and all things royal in England doesn't really make any sense. I should be fascinated with France. It's actually a much more beautiful country, I think, than England. It has the Alps, it has the Pyrenees, it has the northern France region of Normandy, which I think is gorgeous. It has all kinds of magnificent land formations that you don't find in England. But again, I don't know. I've never physically been to the British countryside. However, Luke and Julie came across my radar just from a British reality TV show called Ladies of London. It's basically the Real Housewives of London. And Julie was one of the housewives. And now they have a YouTube channel where they're trying to save their British estate. I can identify, my family still has house in France, etc. And I know Luke and Julie are struggling to basically preserve their British estate. Interestingly enough, in the process of just relaxing on this bed for the first time this afternoon after doing some cleaning and organizing and dealing with excessive heat in the hallway and a lot of problems with the water to this tap that somebody was interfering with by basically shutting it off 2 hours ago and then causing the water stink and smell so foul that I had to go down the hall to the common bathroom and use the tap in that bathroom where the water never stinks and nothing ever stinks. The stench is only coming out of that tap as the water is coming out of that tap. A divine connection that I've had for over a year now with what appears to be twin flame number 3. Okay, yep, so he is a twin flame. Suddenly went live out of the blue for no reason whatsoever, except that I was watching a video where Luke and Julie were talking about their struggles in keeping their estate afloat in the British countryside. All of a sudden, twin flame number 3, boom, live connection. This is surprising because he is also a member of the British aristocracy, and you would think he'd have better things to do than suddenly jumping down my throat as I'm watching a video about people he might or might not know, but probably has some kind of connection to, right? My understanding of twin flame number 3, because I've never physically met him, he's the only twin flame that I have not ever physically met. He is recently married, fairly young, in his mid-30s. And I understand that his wife is due to have a baby anytime soon. So I'm not sure what the deal is with, again, twin flame number 3 suddenly showing back up. But hey, it's there. We cannot begin to understand the reason and origins of divine connections. But divine connections are there, and you can find divine connections anywhere and with anyone with whom that connection exists. You can have a divine connection with a parent or a grandparent. I had a divine connection with my aunt, actually, my godmother. She and I were so close, and we always got along so well. We just had this magical, just enchanted connection. It worked. I always felt like I was her daughter as well as my mother's daughter, right? So that's a divine connection. It doesn't have to be anything romantic or weird or creepy. It is simply something that comes from the divine, where two beings who are supposed to be in some sort of a family situation or friendship or whatever are. It is the will of God when these connections take place here in our physical reality. So again, they can take place in the form of a parent-child connection, aunt, uncle, niece, nephew type of situation, best friend. It could be your spouse. It could be your boyfriend, your girlfriend. It could be your boss. It could be a coworker that you get along with really well and you work great with and you come up with fantastic projects together. Those are all examples of divine connections. These are friends and people who come into our lives that are divinely supposed to be there. What the fuck? So twin flame number 3 is a beautiful man. I don't know if I ever will physically meet him. I mean, he lives across the ocean. And I honestly don't really physically care if I do or not. That's not my job to go trying to find him or not find him. I'm going to stay where I am. And I'm very comfortable staying where I am. Okay. He's obviously got other stuff going on, but when that connection goes live, it is absolutely beautiful and magnificent. And it reminds you of what God's plan is for all of the people who happen to cross our paths in a positive way. I'm not talking about people who want to steal your wallet or who try to physically assault you as you're coming home from work. These are not divine. These are diabolical entities that come flying at you because they have some sort of malignant problem with you or what you have. I'm talking about positive connections and people who have a positive impact on your life when they cross your path and become your friend or your coworker or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your wife or your husband or your mother, your father, your aunt or your uncle or your cousin or whatever. These are all positive, beautiful, divine connections. And I happen to have one with twin flame number 3 over in England. And that just hit me right now. My understanding of this connection with divine connection, with twin flame number 3, the divine connection that I have with twin flame number 3, because I do physically know that there is a connection in real life with him, which is that he is a real estate magnate. His company and his trust and his estate are basically landholding behemoths that globally own massive portions of Washington, D.C. and London and properties all over the world. And he has a direct connection to the Greenville Group, who also happen to own a number of properties here in Boston. I'm not sure what his direct connection is to the Greenville Group, but twin flame number 3 and the Greenville Group are connected. Maybe he knows their attorneys. Maybe he has lawyers that practice law in conjunction with the Greenville Group's attorneys. I think the connection is through the Greenville Group's attorneys, actually. Maybe they're all Freemasons together. I don't know. All I know is that there is a physical, real life, physical world connection between myself and twin flame number 3, where he did not cross my path. I crossed his in the process of taking the Greenville Group to court or going to court with the Greenville Group. That is the starting point of my connection with twin flame number 3, was through the court cases that the Greenville Group have taken against me and that I fought back against in multiple times, multiple ways over the last 5 years. So when I'm lying on my bed on a now quiet Saturday afternoon and twin flame number 3 suddenly goes live, after I have left voicemails for the Greenville Group regarding the tap water that suddenly stinks like feet and like vomit, when nothing around my sink and nothing that I have on me or I'm wearing or I'm using smells like vomit, and the vomit smell doesn't happen in the bathroom down the hall, then twin flame number 3 shows up. Well, there's obviously a connection with the Greenville Group and twin flame number 3, and I just don't know where it is going. But he is very present right now and in a positive way. So twin flame number 3 is not acting against me. He is acting for me, and in some sort of distant manner. And in my process of trying to tease apart the details of this, here's what I've come up with. A very, very long time ago, twin flame number 3's family, who was already acquiring lands all over England and France, stole land that belonged to my family at that time. That land was stolen in a very nasty way, and it was never given back. So basically, he owes me, or my family, from a very long time ago. And that karmic situation has literally been passed down through the years, okay? And that's why it's there now. And this meeting point here in this little tiny rat hole of a living space. Okay. I mean, I like my living space, but it could certainly be spruced up. And there's so many things that never work. And they're deliberately interfered with by the Greenville Group and their criminal fixer, Jasmine Irizarry, who is a career thug who claims to be a structural engineer who is getting paid to take care of problems. And Irizarry, the fat perving, surveillance using, saddle valve using hacker, has admitted to doing what Mr. Oleg Alexeyev has told me she does and what I have personally observed that she keeps doing and has been doing for years. So twin flame number 3, that connection goes way back with my family and his. And the land that he stole from my family a long time ago was never returned. And now here we are. So it's kind of interesting. Oh, wow. As I'm talking about this, Irizarry is now resuming her use of a directed energy weapon to electronically assault me. Just now, over the last 3 minutes, while I started mentioning the dysfunctional water situation and the surveillance devices, now she's once again resuming her use of a directed energy device to electronically harass me while I'm simply sitting here talking about her. Yeah, time to get a EMF meter from Amazon, because I keep getting electronically assaulted, and I am right now, while making this video, by the same perving, creeping, eavesdropping, surveillance using, masturbating psychopath and sex offender named Jasmine Irizarry, that fat, disgusting pig. And she's fat because she doesn't do anything to help herself. I'm not knocking people with weight problems. I used to have a weight problem. Okay, I didn't used to be 138 pounds and 5'3". I used to be 155 pounds and 5'3". And I tried very hard to lose weight for many years, and I finally succeeded. So when Irizarry continues to walk around looking like a giant water buffalo, I don't have any sympathy for her because she's obviously doing nothing to try to help herself. Okay? Morbidly obese is not a healthy situation, and she refuses to do anything to help herself. So back to twin flame number 3, there is a direct karmic connection and evident starting point for the situation right now that I find myself in with the Greenville Group. And twin flame number 3 showed up as a downstream side effect of the multiple court cases that the Greenville Group have taken against my tenancy and have lost. Twin flame number 3, again, is married. I really don't care. That doesn't seem to have any impact on divine connections. Physical, legal arrangements here on this physical plane don't seem to have a bearing on the divinity of soul connections between people who are supposed to know of each other and have something to do with each other in a positive way. Again, I'm not talking about sex offender psycho stalkers like the perving pig that likes to sit behind that wall and smack the wall when I try to use my toilet. That is a diabolical, demonic situation that is being forced upon somebody who wants to have nothing to do with it. I'm talking about things that God has decided he wants to have happen, right? So beautiful divine connections like the one that I have with twin flame number 3, they just suddenly show up and they remind me of what God's plan seems to be for this situation and for me. And I just welcome that, regardless of whether or not somebody is married or not. I'm not going to go chase him down and try to show up at his door. I'm going to leave that to the physical realities of this world. And the soul connection that I will always have with him is what counts and what is supposed to be there.